Well, Jay, it's been a lot of years of collecting and painting and gaming, but the fire is dying. It's burning out.
Burning out, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely low.
Well, it's once a raging fire is now just embers on a log.
It's been embers for a while, actually, for a long time. Yeah. I'm thinking it's just gonna a little gust and it'll be it. Gone.
So, hey everyone, welcome back to our channel here where we get ripped apart on the internet for having hot takes of, we're one of the only places I think you can get a sort of like honest, unfiltered retail point of view, right? So we always try to point out the fact that we are consumers, but we're trying to give you the retail kind of perspective on what it's like to actually run a hobby shop. And it's why a lot of people sometimes get upset with our opinions, because it's kind of based around what we see, on a larger scale and all our interactions.
Like,
you hate this. It's like,
this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reporting the news, I feel
true.
Yeah, it's
true. It's true.
Yeah. But anyways, I think the interesting thing about this topic is anyone who's been in the hobby a long time can kind of relate to this idea that, like, like a lot of things, your interest levels kind of like go up and down, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're maybe only a couple years in and you're experiencing your first sort of like dip or whatever, I think there's like, I don't know what the stat would be exactly, but it's probably something like 80% of people don't survive the first dip, right? Like,
sure.
It's
we talked about this.
Yeah, it's sort of the part of like these hobbies that are difficult or they require a lot of of your kind of time, or there's that high learning curve to them. They're very demanding. Mm-hmm. We call that tax or whatever you want to call it. But I think hobbies that have that demand that from you have that really huge kind of like drop off point for a lot of people. Attrition, I guess you could call it.
Yep. And
yeah, I mean, this has been the case since, Jay and I've been doing this for like 30 years or whatever, and we've seen it time and time again. We've had friends, that along the way that didn't survive the attrition.
Yeah.
Like when I was 11, getting into it or whatever, I had friends that did it with me, and you the same way, I know, as well. Mm-hmm. And yeah, most of them aren't doing it anymore.
No.
And you basically, the only way we've kind of figured it out is, you pick up new hobby friends along the way, and then on those, that's how it kind of works or whatever.
I mean, sometimes you could argue that Games Workshop's success is, in some ways, kind of astonishing, because the what do you call it? The barrier or whatever, or the getting someone to spend the money and then do the hobby bit, learn the games, deal with the changes, find friends that want to play, and keep doing it. Like, it's not surprising that people kind of like start, because it's looks really cool and fun, and then they're like, this is either hard or I don't have someone to like talk about with. Like, that's the other thing, right? Like, if you have we have a long time group chat that is just nonsense, and it's still daily pings of like, did you see this? Did you see that?
It's got a ping right now.
Let's talk about this rule change or this new model. And I was like, yeah, if I didn't have that in my life, it would be really easy to slide, just to have it quietly fade away, and then my interest goes somewhere else.
And it makes sense, because our group is made up of basically all of these people that had groups or friends that like they started the hobby with, and then they're like the last one left or whatever. Mostly because they're the one that was probably the most interested or whatever out of all of them, and then found a group of basically full of people that are like them, essentially, right?
Yeah.
But you're right. No, like having that sort of like community around you definitely helps when you're kind of like a bit low on your own personal interest, or maybe you're like, this is me maybe a couple months ago, actually, as you could describe it. Like, I just couldn't find any motivation to paint.
Right. Sure.
And I was sort of in between projects. Like, I was getting ready to do a new project, and I had kind of just finished something. Like, we had just come back from Adepticon. I didn't really have to do anything, right? And so I just kind of didn't for a while, right?
Yeah.
And, like, that's the thing, though, is because the group, we started talking about like what are we going to do together next and that sort of thing. Then the fire starts to get lit up again, and then you're okay, what am I going to do? And then all of a sudden you're thinking about getting back on the horse again, right?
Yep. So having that is good, but you probably, a lot of people probably don't. So I it's also tough because so you're like, sometimes a lot of people, I'm sure, are just doing it like a little bit in a vacuum, or there are some people that are good at like continuously pittering away, but then something changes in the game, and I know those are big ones. Whenever an edition changes and you feel like your progress has like been cut off at the knees, because you're like, well, I wrote this list and I bought these models and I've been working away at them, and now maybe something about that, the points change, I can't take this list exactly, it doesn't fit anymore, I need to cut a model, add a model, or it's just not going to be not pan out the way you like, and it'll kill your momentum. Then you might just be like, well, I'm just done now. Like, I'm not, even though the edition change is arbitrary, like especially if you're someone who, which is probably a lot of people that don't play very much.
Well, yeah.
Which is even like me.
Yeah.
If I got upset about every change, like I would have, been to my other army like ages ago. But I'm just like, I just see it as like just a fun collection, and even if, if I play,
it's because you're soft.
Yeah, if I play here and there, then I'm okay, right?
Yeah.
So the other thing I would say a big part of like our business, or maybe how we have things set up, or what we try and tell people, is like, you really need to enjoy the painting part if you can, or the hobby element, the building and painting, because like then you're kind of like, no matter what you're doing, it's just like you finish one and then you kind of do the next one. You're not really too hung up on, is this good, is this not good, does it matter, so that's how I structure my like years, or what I do, because believe me, Chris is probably similar to me, is like built in paint, like dozens of art, we've said this before, like 2,000 points I've painted like 30 times in my life, like finished like thousands of miniatures. So like a new thing comes in, I'm not like, holy crap, I'm like in so hard, I need it all, and I'm gonna do this. It's like, I'm kind of like, that's cool, I've got lots to do, and I've got this in my calendar, I'm gonna just keep going, I'll come back to the thing. Like you're
very sensible.
You have to kind of stretch it out.
I was about to say you're very sensible, but then I'm like, I think about your Eldar pile.
Sure,
but
some things
but
still
like,
get me.
To be fair to Jay, like he knows the things he wants to work on, but he's not just like, he doesn't throw his life away to kind of like start them. Yeah. So like Jay kind of like puts stuff away, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do this at some point, and just tucks it away, and then like it just kind of gets slotted in the future at some point.
It's like a future slot, yeah.
And but it's funny the way you describe it. To me, it like the analogy is like a relationship of like a partner or something like that, sure. In a lot of ways too, where like if you are attempting to be like super passionate and like all in all the time, that like you burn yourself out, right? So like like when you first start Warhammer, it's all hot and heavy. Like you're experiencing everything for the first time. You're probably spending way more time on it than like is proportional to what you should be spending in your life, or whatever, right? Yeah. And that's the same with any new hobby you get into, right?
Everything,
You're like so into it, and then eventually you settle into like this middle period, or like this like cool off period, where like you have to figure out how like Warhammer's going to fit into your life long term, with all the other things you have to balance as well, right? So what does that look like? Does that look like setting aside like a couple hours each week to paint, or like playing a game each month with your friend, or like going to a hobby night, whatever your schedule is gonna like kind of settle into, right? And it might mean that like Jay said, it's when there still might be these points when like maybe your lease comes out, you really maybe the you go right to like new relationship status again, or whatever,
again, yeah.
And get all flared up or whatever. Sure. Not unlike being in a long-term relationship, like you kind of have these like ebbs and flows of like especially when kids come into the world, and like you have all these demands pulling at your time, work, kids, life, and things wane in and out or whatever. But like I feel like the hobby is no different than that, right? Where you have these like hot and cold periods, and at the end of the day, the main kind of thing that's going to keep you doing it is discipline.
Yep.
And obviously, you still have to have some level of interest in it too, because
yeah. No, you do. Yeah, you have to. I also like. It's I try and advise people to also like not be too irrational, if that's the word. Like I don't know. Sometimes I've seen cases where people kind of like, because they go in so hard, they also exit hard. They'll be like, buy everything, in, getting ready for the world champs or whatever, like within 6 months, all this training, and then they do that a bit, and then things don't go the way they want, and then they just like sell it all, and like, and then 3 months after that, they're like back in again, and like it's like.
I wonder if they're like that with the people in their life too.
Yeah,
because
maybe.
like think about it, right?
Maybe.
Like when you get into it, and we'll go back to the relationship analogy again. You get into a new relationship and things are going great, and then maybe your partner throws you off or like does something you don't like wrong, and you like massively overreact to it, right? That's not a lot. It's not, to be fair, it's not really that different from like Games Workshop making a rule change you don't like.
Sure.
Really, because it's affecting your relationship that you have with the product that you put a lot of yourself into, right? So, how you react to those things.
I mean, this is probably again cyclical thing here. I'll be in the shop, I'll be pittering away at some boring work on the computer. Someone will come in and they'll be like, "Oh, this guy's falling about something. They repacked this, changed that, nerfed this." And I'm always like, okay, like I sometimes they're like, "Oh, what do you think?" And I'm like, dude, I've been here 30 years. It's always like this. It's like it's just cycle. Like, and then I try and ask them that rhetorical or whatever that question. You're like, what do you like about this?
Yeah.
Ultimately,
yeah.
So is it the puzzle solving of the game? Is it the painting? Is it both? Is it just the hanging out with people? Like what of this, and if you can like get them to like decide or be like, okay, yeah, this maybe isn't so bad or whatever. But, the advice comes down. We try and be sensible. Like, look, yeah, it's chaos now. I try and tell them like, when an army, or they'll complain about an army being busted or something, like not their army, some other army, and I'm like, yeah, every army gets its little turn in the cycle, and it'll be strong now, and 6 months from now it won't be, and like just wait it. It's like fine. I don't know. I'm very like
taking like the long view, right?
You have to, everything, and it makes sense. Like a lot of their releases are long end and whatever. I know they recently have been more quicker to make changes from the competitive standpoint, but even then, the flip side is like that just means they'll go through. So if X is bad now, it'll be good not that long from now. So just all you can do is maybe if you have favorite factions, like collect up a nice size of that army, and you should be pretty good, relatively speaking. Like, I have a big enough Eldar collection that I can pretty much pivot whatever happens. Maybe I got to buy odd new things sometimes, but it's not really that big of a deal. Like I wrote one list was rubbish, but I was like, I looked at them like, what is killing? I have all those things. I don't have to really like worry about hunting down this and that. It's usually the hard meta chasing, trying to win every. Those guys often have that issue. They're like, I'm trying to get this and that, and then they burn out quickly. Like, yeah,
it's easy. Yeah, it's definitely easier to burn out when you're like you're super in it like that, right? Like you're playing every weekend, you're playing a couple nights a week. You're because your passion level is so high. Like it doesn't take much for something to slight you or to go wrong that you don't like when you're so razzed up, right? So. I
think the thing that I also remind people is the upper echelons or whatever, what you're like, unlike some other games, esports or whatever, the monetary gain is non-existent in the
monetary gain
in the Warhammer world, unless you're like really good player and can pivot that into some sort of YouTube career.
There's that one handsome guy who does videos or whatever. I think he makes money.
There's like a couple of them, like it. Yeah. I'm trying to remind people of that. I'm like, this is why you're burning out, is you're playing all this game and you're not getting anything back, really. There's not even like that. The video game at least has the like, you're in Master 1 level now, or something, or here's some loot boxes or whatever. Some kind of, you unlock a special skin or whatever.
I think
get that
for most people that chase it still, I think it, to be honest, I think what it proves is that like, for the most part, people actually aren't seeking monetary validation. They're like looking for validation from their peers.
Yeah, sure.
More than anything else, right?
Yeah.
And there still is that cred or whatever, if you want to call it that.
Sure.
People will be, oh, that guy's like number 7 in kill team.
Guy's really good at kill team. Yeah.
You're like, sure is.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's sweet.
Yeah.
That's a young man's game.
No, I know, but I think it adds to the crippling. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
is when you're kind of like working so much at it and it just doesn't. So
well, it's also like maybe people in Europe can say, like our viewers in Europe can basically attest that there's a different cultural element to it too. I feel not that the Europeans aren't also doing tournaments and stuff, but the North American culture is even more of a like, this is what you do. You compete.
Yeah.
And like the way that we put that on everything we do over here does burn you out intensely, right?
Does, yeah.
I don't know. And there's something about the European way of competing that even seems like more lighthearted, which is weird because like they kill each other in soccer or whatever. Yeah,
I think I mean on one hand the gaming events are usually like, you have national team.
Yeah.
Where the team France is playing the team Switzerland.
Well, you can find 10 guys in any country.
Yeah, I know. It's just, but generally speaking, I found that at least in Europe, when it comes to rules packs and things, there's always discussions on making things more like fair across the board.
Fair,
yeah. It's like, and then I don't know, if you win, you win. I don't know. It's a little different.
North Americans were more like, I have the upper hand and I'm going to use it.
I'm trying to kill you every time. Yeah. I'm here to kill you. Yeah. Sure.
So before we end this video, let's talk about like, there's going to be some people that legitimately, maybe hit a point in their life where like the Warhammer game they're collecting is not for them anymore. Maybe that's the answer, right? So what can those people do if they still like the idea of hobbying? But
again, it's easy for me to say because I love the hobby part. Mm-hmm. And that's probably been my secret ingredient to the longevity of this many years. Because look, there's nothing left, at least for me personally, from like so much from winning, like playing
something
games, proving anything. Like I've done this so many. I just kind of like, this looks like fun. This looks like a new project, and I just kind of like pitter away at it. I formulate a plan in my head, and I just like enjoy the journey. Mm-hmm. And like new minis come. There's always, that's the beauty. There's always something like every next thing that comes out is the best thing I've ever seen right now in terms of like that part, like the models that are being made. You get like that Prince Vordry is just like I keep thinking, I'm like, I don't think you're gonna beat next year's model, and then they do, and we're only halfway through this year. There's still more to come, right? So things like that.
I think your point is well made. Is like, and this is obviously not going to help people that are like the puzzle solvers that like, for them that's why they're doing the hobby. But like, if you can find a thing to love about, if you can find a love for painting and sort of like enjoying the miniatures for what they are, you'll always have a place in the hobby somewhere, because like there's always just going to be great miniatures coming out to collect and paint, right?
I mean, even in the game side, I think as you're talking, I'm thinking more, and I'm like, something that served me well too is I kind of like a season arrives and I just kind of like pick, decide, okay, this army, usually it's the one I'm painting at the moment, but sometimes it's not. I'll be like, okay, I'm just gonna like try and solve the puzzle with this faction, even if it's not the best one or the highest, whatever is the best thing right now. It's easy to like just pivot into that. That probably contributes to burnout when you just go, I think this is the best, I'm gonna go pursue that and like scrap everything else I'm doing and just like, so whereas if you're more like, I'm gonna take something I already own, or maybe something that you've been excited about but isn't optimal, and just like, it's very rewarding when you figure that out, when you can do well with not the meta army and just get games and really learn the game more so than just shove. I think you go, you can, there's some argument to be made that you can like have it both. You can have a good army that you learn the mechanics of the game super well and just like, appreciate the challenge, I guess, in a way. I find that also kind of can work more so. I'm not, because then what happens when you go like full meta chasing and just grabbing what was perceived the best army at the time is then when it's not, you just like you have no attachment to it. You just like sell it or dump it or give it away or whatever, or store it away. And so, and then move on to the next one, and that again will contribute. Whereas if it's like an army you've been enjoying and you like really, if I don't know, fall in love with is the right word, but been working on it and playing lots of games with, even if it's not the best thing, and when it does do well, you feel great, you know, like whatever. Yeah. So yeah. So for me, that journey's been, last few years has been the Cities Army. I was just like, yeah, really enjoyed the whole thing, and you know, getting a positive record at the Adepticon was my little victory in my. I was like, okay, good. You know, I don't have the best army, but I played well, and you know, beat some good opponents, and that might feel better than just like shoving the best thing and just like winning.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice.
Like I don't know if I.
Personal victories, like,
you know, you have to like really go outside the box. Yeah, I like, you know, in game terms, I don't think I would have any attachment or love for the Chosen Star Army, whatever. So for you guys, most of you probably don't play any AOS, but it's the classic like super strong unit that costs 1 billion points, and you just shove it and it wins. He doesn't have to.
You drive the truck right at your opponent.
You drive a truck into your opponent, and that's it.
I mean, there's a time in your life when that's very fun.
It's still fun today.
It's still fun today.
It's just kind of like I find it's fun for like 5 minutes.
No,
and then you like meet genuinely great, nice people, and then you're like, yeah, we're here to play a game, but not really, because this is gonna last 10 minutes. You know, and it's like weird, you know. Anyway, but. So.
Yeah, I'll end on a little quick story, hopefully. So we do a monthly Marvel night here at the shop, and I was having a little discussion before we started up this week with one of our longtime customers, great guy, and he was kind of talking about how he was kind of falling out of love with the game a little bit, and we were chatting about that a bit, and I was kind of sharing my experiences in the last couple of years with competitive play and how it was burning me out a lot as well, and we were kind of talking, and the thing I think we figured out together was that, number one, we were both getting old.
Sure.
And for him, he was probably playing a game that he loved with the wrong people, probably, for that particular game. So, like, as much as he did love the puzzle solving and, like, playing the game correctly and stuff like that, he was playing with people that are, like, on the extreme level of that, where, like, you would play a game and, like, if you made one wrong move in a Marvel match, like, you're like, oh, that wasn't an efficient action. You probably might lose now.
Yeah.
And I think we figured out that that's probably what was burning him out specifically. Because at the end of the night, after he played a game with someone who was very new, he seemed a lot more refreshed and kind of like, oh yeah, no, I think I still like this game. And so sometimes it just takes a minute to step back and like think about things, find someone you can talk to about it, just like anything in life. And the pandemic was great for this. I hate to say it was great, but like where a lot of people had a lot of time to think about stuff, right? And I know, like, I thought a lot about my hobby and like, what do I actually like doing? What do I want to spend more time doing? And I'd say our friend group, like, we're all kind of doing that together, which is like, well, we like painting miniatures that have like a cool theme, mostly in the Warhammer universe, because that's like, we're all kind of from that. We're all victims of that nostalgia, and we're just like, but we like hanging out. So like, let's mash those things together as much as we can, and that's how we're gonna like enjoy ourselves, right? So, well, hopefully that helped you guys. If you're falling out of love with Warhammer, maybe we'll do a follow up on this video in a couple weeks, talking about the different types of games you could look at if the big games aren't for you. And if you'd like these videos, give us a subscribe. We appreciate it. You can check out our hobby channel, Lords of War hobby channel, and you can check us out on Patreon, where we basically fund this whole operation. So thank you for watching. Take care.
Bye.